leaders and to the Congress in Washington, D.C. And speaking of school leaders, therefore, I would like to also thank Dr. Tom Bailey. He came late to the process, but with much force, and who has devoted several hours of his busy schedule to helping us refine and focus our agenda. He also helped us secure the consent of the school board, which are here with us today, and we are grateful to them. Our principal, Ken Green, has carefully guided our progress, as did our assistant superintendent, Mr. Dale Dobbs. And right when the process became nearly overwhelming, Carla Mullins joined forces with the student council as our co-advisor, providing the ladies' touch necessary not only to solidify the details, but to temper my willingness to offend in order to accomplish something great. We give her a round of applause. Then we turned our dreams over to the experts. Jeff Robertson, sales manager of O'Quinn Enterprises, is supposed to be here if he was able to make it from Chattanooga. But I think I just heard his voice over there somewhere, I'm not sure. He would contact us long ago, offering professional advice and support even before we got our steel. And John and Sherry O'Quinn, the owners of O'Quinn Enterprises, masters of detail and coordination of resources, have orchestrated a nearly miraculous accumulation of community support, donations, and technical expertise to make this possible. They and their workers have volunteered countless man-hours to make this day possible. And for all these efforts, I proclaim my undying gratitude. But I must say, the chief inspiration for this year's efforts is also the intended audience, the students of Oak Ridge High School. Another person we want to thank for making this memorial possible is one of our speakers today. I'm sure he got up on September 11th, 2001, expecting a normal day like the rest of us. It was a beautiful day here in Oak Ridge. And I guess on top of that, he was also looking forward to a happy birthday because September 11th is his birthday. Mr. John Vogt is a 1977 graduate of Oak Ridge High School who was active in student council. He was talked into writing an essay for a competition by his history teacher, Gene Pickle. Mr. Vogt won the competition, which led to an opportunity to work with Senator Howard Baker, which he did throughout his studies at Georgetown University. Mr. Vogt eventually worked in the first George Bush administration and is now the executive vice president of the Bond Market Association, a firm with offices in New York, London, and at the office where Mr. Vogt is the head in Washington, D.C. From that office, working with the White House, John Vogt's team worked for 48 hours to restart the bond market of the United States after the attacks as an act of defiance toward our enemies. Mr. Vogt lost several associates in the attacks, and he and his company are the chief financial contributors towards the materials we had to purchase. Please welcome Mr. John Vogt.
It's always tough to follow a big man, and this man is a big man. I'll tell you, Chris and I were talking earlier, Special Agent Rogopoulos, who will follow me here, we're talking earlier about, the thanks that we owe Ken Center for doing this, and I said, Chris, it's unbelievable, thousands of people have ideas, but to make it happen, pull it off, that's big. And this guy did it, and I want to thank him. I want to thank Matt, John, Amanda. I think you all did a fantastic job. But I can't tell you what the weather was like on the day that I was born. You have to ask my parents who were here. But I can tell you that as far back as I can remember, it's almost always the same. Blue skies. Crisp autumn. I remember when I was young, I can remember particular birthdays. I remember my mother taking me to New York and going to Yankees game with my dad. I can remember how cocky I was when I got married to my wife and I told her, my birthday is always clear. So it was particularly horrific for me that the enemy, in part because of the weather that day, chose my birthday to try to blow my two cities apart. They took a good whack at it, but they didn't do it. They didn't succeed, so they underestimated the people of this country. They underestimated our resolve. They simply didn't understand how connected we are. As family, as friends, as a nation. And you will doubtless read and watch television shows today, countless renditions of the tragedies of 9/11, and God knows it was. That is necessary and that is appropriate. But I hope you also focus on the good, and there was good, sacrifice, compassion, courage, heroism, to name just a few. So to those who may offer me sympathy that today is my birthday, I will say thanks, but I'm going with a glass half full on this one. I'm going with how proud I am that my birthday is Patriots Day. I'm honored to be here today. I graduated from this school 25 years ago, and I still have a great love for it. When I was a student here, I was very involved. Now I live in Washington, and I spend at least one day a week in New York. But as far away geographically as I ever get from Tennessee, I seem to always connect with ORHS High School. I simply couldn't avoid it. In 1986, I was on a trip to Alaska with Senator Jim Sasser from Tennessee. We were in a helicopter that landed on a mountain in southeast Alaska. We get out of the helicopter, the two of us. The forest ranger there to meet us graduated from ORHS High School. And today I have the opportunity to share the stage with FBI agent Chris Rogopoulos, a real hero. So since I started attending this school in 1975, that's always been a part of my life. So in late July, my parents sent me a newspaper article that told the story of how Ken Center and the Student Council planned to erect a memorial to the victims of 9/11 using beams from the World Trade Center. Now, as an alumnus, I was touched by the story, and I'm very proud of their efforts. There was a clear connection between what this school and its teachers did for me and what you are doing for America. I was a frequent visitor to the World Trade Center. I was there innumerable times. My New York offices were located in the North Tower until we moved a few years ago. So when I realized the connection, I immediately called Ken and offered to be a financial safety net. It was the least I could do. I believe very much in giving back. I've been the beneficiary of others' goodwill, and it's very much a part of my basic credo to do likewise. It is a central aspect of staying connected. Now, I wouldn't be speaking here today if it wasn't for Gene Pickle. It was my Ken Center 25 years ago. But before I tell you that story, let me tell you a little bit about how 9/11 affected me personally and professionally. I was on the meeting of September 11, I was in a meeting in the Capitol with 4 U.S. senators. When the first plane hit and the aides told us, we assumed it was a small plane, it was an accident. When they came rushing in a short while later and said another plane had crashed into the other tower, we knew something was terribly wrong. I immediately excused myself from the meeting as I knew that the World Trade Center was only 3 blocks from my offices in New York, where we have 80 employees. And at that time, I wasn't thinking about the towers coming straight down, I was worried about them falling over. If you haven't been there, downtown New York, Lower Manhattan is a very small place. My boss was on vacation and my immediate concern was for the safety of those employees. On my way back to the Washington office, I was able to learn that my New York office was evacuating safely, but I got a call from my assistant telling me the Pentagon had just been hit. I told her to evacuate the 20 people from our office in Washington, and I turned my car toward home. Because it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if the enemy was targeting the Pentagon, they may well be intending to hit CIA, from which I live.